Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video we are going to talk about how to connect ASP.NET Core with PostgresQL database. Though a lot of projects are built with ASP.NET Core and SQL Server because that's a kind of a Microsoft stack. But still, PostgreSQL is a open source database, freely available, so we could use that. And definitely we should know how to connect ASP.NET Core with the Postgres. So let's not waste more time on discussing this. Let's get our hands dirty and see how we could utilize connecting an ASP.NET Core application with Postgres. The first thing what we need to do is we need to run a Postgres server, and I'm actually running a Postgres server in a Docker container. And if I show you, I have a Postgres database where I've created two tables, users or department. But I'll just use the department table, and this department table has two columns. One is ID and one is DNAME. We'll try to read the data from this particular table and show it within the ASP.NET Core application. Now, if you want to connect the ASP.NET Core with Postgres, you would still need some kind of a library or a Nugget package to connect that. So firstly, let's try installing that Nugget package. So I'll just simply say .NET add, and I'll say package and npgsql. This is the command which will give to add that Nugget package into our project. And this one is purely used directly with the online commands, like we are not using with entity framework. For an entity framework, there is another version of the same package, but that's what I can cover within some another video. So the package is added, which looks fine. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create one method. Let's say I'm gonna create one method which works on displaying some data with this. So let me create a new route, which is iActionResult, and I'll just simply say connect with PG, let's say. So now this is a get method, and within this get method we are going to return a view which is gonna get that database. Now fundamentally, in order to connect with the Postgres, one of the things which you need to use is if you just simply say npg. So you could see there are almost similar classes as you would see for ADO.NET or OLEDB or anything. So you could use these classes to connect out. So the first thing which we are going to use is the connection class. So let's say npgsql connection. I'll just simply say vcon is equal to new of npgsql connection. And we need to provide certain parameters, just like we connect to SQL Server or anything. So similar details will provide within the connection initiation. So one is the host, which is, let's say, because I'm running it on a local server, so it is a local host. So that's one of them. The second is I need to provide the username, which is Postgres. I've not created any other user. This is not the recommended practice, but this is only for demonstration purpose. So I'm just trying to use that. And then I'm just going to use the next parameter, which is password. And I've just kept the password for this Docker image, Docker container as Rohit. And then I'm actually using a database, which is, let's say, Postgres. Of course, you can supply your own Postgres database name, whichever you have kept. And then finally, we can also supply like port for 5432, which is the standard port for Postgres server. So that's the connection parameters which we have supplied, which looks fine. Now the second thing which we are going to do is once we connect it, so we are just going to use the connection.open. So I'm just going to use connection.open, which opens the connection, and then I can perform certain actions onto that. Now because I want to run some kind of a query out here, so I'll just simply say vQuery is equal to select star from department. So that's my query, which if we go back to Postgres, so select star from department, we get two departments which are there, and that's what we need over here. So this is done, and I'll just query is made. But in order to run this query, we need to use another thing, npgsql command, which is let's say vcom is equal to new of npgsql command. and we'll supply out the query out here. So this is the query which I want to run, and this command should run through this v connection. So that's a simple thing. We could pass on certain parameters if you have certain where conditions or anything, but that's fundamentally we need. And then we need vcom.execute reader, so which is going to read all the data from that select query, which is a select star from department, and then it is gonna return you npgsql data reader. So we'll just pass on a reader object, and which is fine. And now if I want to use this one, so what we'll do is, because reader is an object and we could we'll loop through the object, and we could get individual columns and then rows, and that's what is gonna happen. Now once this reader is there, the data is there, the first thing which I'm gonna do is command.close. So I'm just gonna close the connection. That's one. Let's not close the connection first. Let's try and see whether we can pass the data to the view, and then we could close this out in a try catch or other cases also. Okay, once we have this, so I'm just gonna use a view data, which is, let's say, department records, which I've just created, and I'm just gonna pass on as a vReader. Now once this vReader is passed, so it goes on to the view, so where I need to return a view, which is fine. And because this is connect with PG, so I can create, and within the home controller, so I can create, let's say, an index page, which I can just copy, and then within over here I can just paste that. So I'll get two things over here, and I'll just change that to connect with what was the name in the home controller, connect with PG. So let's use that. So I'll just rename it again and connect with PG. So that's what the HTML is all about. So showing, let's say, all data or all records. Okay, now this is one thing which need to do, and the second thing is we'll just simply use npgsql data reader is equal to view data, and then we'll just pass on. So because we created a view data which is department records, so we'll go in here, we'll use it like this, which is fine, and then let's say vReader is equal to this, and that's what it should be there. And if you are not getting that, so you could use npgsql, which should be fine. Let's say @npg. Okay, I think so we should be good by going through that. Now because it's just displaying of the data, let's try looping it through. Now when you try to loop through the records, there are multiple things which you need to take care of, and one of the things which is important is let's try to display it in a table, and we could just, because by default it is actually displayed it in the form of a bootstrap is already there in asp.netcore. So I'll just copy bootstrap, let's say tables, so I can just go on to that, and then let's say copy one of them, for example this one. This makes sense. I'll just copy it, and I'll go back and paste it over here, so which looks okay. We have a table, and we can just now use this one, and this is table body or table head. So yeah, this is the table one, so, and that goes over here. Now this is the table. We just need an ID, and then we'll just name the department name. We don't need other columns, so I'm just gonna remove that. So there are only two columns. That's fine. Now within this we have a TD, which is perfectly fine. We just need one TDTR, because rest of the things would be displayed through the loop, so which would be okay for us. So we'll just use @ and we'll start displaying all the data. So what we can do is, so we'll say while vReader dot read. So there's a read method for us. So if the read is returning me, is yielding those rows. So what we can do is we can just copy this and paste it over here. Now once we do this, we have to little bit change. So over here we'll just use vReader and then the column name, which is ID. That's one, and that's perfectly fine. I can display it in the form of a string or whatever typecast you want to do. And the second is my department name, which in fact is a string. So what I can do, I can just change vReader and then we can just simply say department name. That's the name of the column. So if you go back, department name and ID, which is perfectly fine. And then if you want to convert it into a string, we could convert it into a string, which is okay. So these are the two things which we need to do. Now, in order to see whether this runs for us or not, let's go back and start this. So I'm just gonna run watch run, and if it all looks good, there is no error. Okay, so there is an error in the connect with so it says the type or username namespace Npgsql data reader could not be found. So if the class is not found, so we can just import that. So we'll just use using Npgsql. That's one. So we are just importing that so that it is available. The second thing, I think, so because we are converting this view data into the vReader, so what we are going to do is we are just going to use typecasting SQL data reader, so that the view data which stores an object should be typecasted and put it into a vReader. Once it is done, this all looks good. I think so we can avoid this string also, because it just gets the value, and I don't have any I don't think so we need conversion into there. Okay, so we have an ID, we have a TD, okay, which is good. Let's try running it one more time. .NET watch run. I'll run this, and it looks fine, no error, and it's running, started. Okay, so it goes on to the home, because this was the same code base I was trying to explain the cookie session in another videos, but we could just use our route which we have done. So connect with PG. So once I press enter, exactly so what we were expecting. So you get 1, 2, and department name is technology and sales. So that's what we get. But in case you don't want the other information at the top, so let's say if this information is not of any use to us, just save this, go back, and that's gone. So guys, this is how you connect your .NET application. You could connect any .NET application, because I was just displaying it through the ASP.NET Core. That was the case, but fundamentally we could use any .NET application, even your console applications or Windows Form applications with the Postgres. I hope guys this is gonna help you, and it's kind of a get started to how to connect with the Postgres. In the next video, I'll show how to exactly authenticate the users from the Postgres and create a session cookie within ASP.NET Core. So stay tuned guys, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.